welcome to OCAST, your island gateway to all things geek. I am your host, Calum MacDonald, and joining me again, it's your third time on the show, Kathleen, so we officially get to keep you now. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Cal, and
Uh,
thanks for
uh,
inviting me tonight.
oh, no, you are more, you're more than welcome to invade this area anytime you want. So, joining us tonight, a very familiar face for those of you who have been to Ocon over the past few years. She wrote the first ever Hebridean mangas, I believe. Well-known independent manga artist. Well, you'll know the face, and you'll probably have all bumped into her. Those, like I said, those who have been to Ocon, and those who listen to the show, you probably know as Eira Richards. Welcome, and it's good to speak to you again. And for my, at last, because I'm always buzzing around, I've never had the chance to speak to you at Ocon.
Thanks, Cal. It's very nice to be on the podcast. Thank you for having me.
All right. So I don't know, Kathleen, do you want to kick things off with some questions for Eira?
Yes, and I do. And I have so many questions, and I keep on thinking I'm going to start at the end and then go back. But maybe I should be kind of chronological and just sort of say when, you're an artist and a writer, and your interest is specifically in sort of manga style. But when did you first develop your interest?
I think, to be honest, it's probably similar to a lot of artists who started as readers, similar to lots of comics artists who probably started as comics readers and then they got inspired by the medium and decided to tell their own stories through that medium. So for me, I think it started as a kind of an anime fan, a manga fan, and I've always been into drawing. So I thought at some point, I would like to try and draw in that style. And I think that's the inspiration. That's how the inspiration came, really. And just the way of telling stories through the medium of manga, something that really suited me, I think.
Yeah, because I remember sort of, I won't give my age away, but manga was not really known, when I was at school compared to the interest that's developed in it now. And I was at Epicon over the weekend, and so many young people have been inspired by anime and manga. It's just, you can see, the inspiration and interest in it.
Absolutely, yes.
Have you noticed, a sort of increase in interest over the years?
I think yes, because I've been in this scene for a long time, ever since I was in my late teens, early 20s. Again, I'm not going to give my age away, but yes, even within the sort of the early year 2K, from that time until now, there's been a massive increase. And with Sweatdrop Studios, the publisher who I'm with, when they first started out in 2001, they were the only ones of its kind. So the only small publisher,
Wow.
that would
Yeah,
support
yeah.
kind of manga creators. But now anyone can create a manga style and find an outlet for their stories.
Because it was always considered to be something that wasn't Western, whether those blocks that just manga belonged in Japan, Asia, and
I
people had these divisions.
I suppose, and even now, it's difficult to kind of fit into the Western conventions, if you like, because the the norms, if you like, of the style are so different from Western ones. And historically, manga might have been kind of perceived as something that would fit into a really narrow box, something full of, I don't know, fights and ninjas, or a sort of, some females in a different various state of undress, or all of that mixed up. Whereas in
Yeah.
fact, there's a massive variety.
Mhm.
It's massive readership.
Yeah, I just saw, was there one manga or anime that really planted the seed in your head? What was it that kicked it all off, your love for it?
Yeah, this will really give my age away, but I think I think Sailor Moon really what started it for me. I think that's a lot of um creators, especially female creators, probably found the first inspiration in Sailor Moon. And it's in many ways the manga and the anime were really before their time, because there's a lot of it's first of all, it's very inclusive. I think it was probably one of the first kind of anime that really focused on, like, two of the main characters, for example, were in a same-sex relationship, and it was something that was not really explored at that time. And just generally the fact that the main characters are female, they're strong, yes, they do have superpowers, yes, they do fight villains and so on a galactic level, but at the same time, they're also normal people with their problems, relationships, and so on.
Yeah, I think people definitely had a very, very narrow view or understanding of what manga is, and it's like it's like all Comic Cons. They just transcend boundaries, and they've sort of taught so many other writers and artists.
Absolutely. And so my daughter got into manga and anime. So I kind of got her into anime. So I would have someone to watch anime with. And she's just started going to Comic Cons this summer, actually, and started cosplaying. And
Lovely.
I'm really, really happy about that, actually. Really,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
happy. But then there's still some of the perception that, when I spoke to someone going, "Oh, I'm going to Comic Con with my daughter," and someone else said, "Oh, isn't it where weird people go?" And I'm like,
Maybe,
well,
but what's wrong
Unique.
with that?
Yeah.
yes,
No.
yes and no, yes and
Yeah.
no, yes. And then I remember in a kind of a different employment, when I was doing a different job, I was reading Neo magazine. So I don't know if you guys remember Neo. It's the
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's this magazine with kind of anime news, games, manga news, and so on. And people were looking at me thinking, why is she reading that? Because it's just seen as something that is kind of slightly outsider, if you like, not the norm.
Yeah, I still have so much to learn. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, so I know you're a teacher, and I think it just may take a special skill to be able to teach art and illustration. Do you go about it as as guiding young people and children to tell stories through pictures?
I think that it's definitely a different, as you said, it's definitely a separate skill, if you like.
Mm, mm.
But then I kind of think of it as a bit of, it's almost like teaching a language, if you like. You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can tell a story, you can use words, and when people learn a foreign language like Spanish, for example, they learn a certain set of tools, that they can, you know, express themselves through. And I think it's kind of similar to, teaching comics or teaching manga. It's just giving them tools and seeing how they express themselves with those tools, really.
yeah. Do you find I've always considered myself completely unartistic, and not capable of that. And I'm probably making this a bit personal, but don't you think there's value in teaching every child
Yes,
art and
Yeah.
illustration?
Yeah.
They don't have to be great at it, but giving them that confidence to express themselves like that.
absolutely. Yes. And that's what I always try to get across. Art is not just one thing. There's many, many ways of creating art. And actually, there's a lot more ways than one to create, of
Yeah,
creating comics. And this is something
yeah,
that we saw a lot in the pandemic, when everyone was online, and so many comics were created during the pandemic, reflecting on people's sort of experiences in the pandemic and their feelings. And it's just, some people were creating, I don't know, paper cutouts to
yeah,
create, and in anything's photo comics. So there's a massive variety. Yes.
Because it's saying that you don't have to be the best. I mean, you just look at, I know maybe not the best, but South Park, what
yeah,
they do with just very
Yes.
crude animation, but it's as long as the story and the idea is
yeah.
strong, the people will forgive quite a lot, and like the expression there.
Absolutely. And it's quite interesting that you mentioned that, because I remember seeing a post a few days ago saying originally South Park was created just using sugar paper. They cut out
Yeah.
those. Yes,
Really?
yeah.
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 There's photos of
Wow.
sort of
Yeah.
characters created, just cut out of sugar paper.
Yeah, I've seen like a wee documentary about that pilot episode they made, and it was just, oh, I've spilt my tea, sorry.
Oh, you okay?
No,
You
no.
okay?
No, it's fine. No, but and they said that was just how they got that pilot episode made, and it's quite fascinating. And that became their trademark style as well. So
Yeah.
happy accidents. They got I think that's Arthur limitations. I think that's what we spoke about with the coherence director we had him on.
Yeah, that's it. It forces you to be creative in different ways. And this tendency in educational settings sometimes, it's not all teachers, but you say, oh, you're not good at this, try this, I think just,
No.
yeah,
Well,
open it up. And that's where comics are so brilliant. It's that combination of visual and writing. To me, it's like brings the best of language and art together.
absolutely, yes.
Tell me about your first book that you published. How did you get the idea? And yes, how did you go about it?
So the first book I published was called Chemical Blue. It's actually a two-part graphic novel series, and that was literally the first book that was published with Sweatshop Studios. That's it. Yeah.
Oh
So
gosh, the cover is amazing.
yes,
That is
thank you.
great.
Yeah. So this is when I that's the volume 2.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So it's very different to the stories I create now. It was very much a school kind of based slice of life, comedy. And that's because I was enjoying those kind of stories at the time. So I always,
Yeah.
always think about creating stories that I would like to read myself. And it was partially inspired by obviously my experience as an educator, in schools and so on. Uh, some characters are actually based on real people. They will never know, but
Yes.
unless they're listening to this podcast, of course. But partially was based on the town where I was living at the time. It was a seaside town. So I started telling this story, and I think I created the first kind of 2 chapters. I was drawing the first 2 chapters, and then I contacted Sweatdrop Studios, and I said, "What do you think?" And that's kind of how it started. So to join Sweatdrop Studios, because it's a very small group of creators, you would need to sort of see how you would gel together, which was a really nice practice, really. So I remember meeting them at MCM Comic Con in London, and then we
Oh,
went
great.
to the pub and had a little informal chat and so on. And then the group said, yes, we'll take you on, and it was great, actually. So I just continued with the story, and interestingly, volume 1 came out literally days before my eldest son was born. And
Wow.
then volume 2 came days before my youngest son was born, and I had a daughter in between, so it was a really busy 5 years.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yes, but that was kind of my first my first time working in kind of long form, and it definitely presented some challenges, but in the end, I'm
Yeah.
really happy with how it turned out.
The Sweatdrop Studios just sounds amazing. It sounds like a proper, old-fashioned publisher that
Yes,
nurtures their writers,
yes, yeah,
and
they
that
very.
must be a really special relationship.
Yes, we don't really have as many people as we used to,
Mm.
but I'm really glad that I joined when I did, because the support they gave me was amazing. I couldn't ask for anything more, and I think the fact that I was with people who were into the same thing as I
Yeah,
was,
yeah,
and creating together and just discussing things, ideas.
yeah.
We did a few compilations as well, where basically each artist created a separate story, and we put it
And
together in a book,
yeah, lovely.
which was fantastic, because we would help each other with editing. If someone was behind the deadline, we would help each other with sort of coloring and so on, which is lovely.
Yeah.
When we all lived in the same part of the country, we used to do socials as well, not so much
Nice.
anymore.
Yeah.
But yes, I would, yeah, you said absolutely correctly that it's very kind of it's seen as old fashioned now, but it's just precisely what I needed at the time.
Yeah. And I think it's been a loss to publishing that they've got so big and so much more sort of like a factory line. And
Yes,
I remember reading, sorry, I'm a children's librarian, so in the early days, it was really about spotting talent and creativity and nurturing with people and being a sort of creative family. And I think that's what smaller independent publishers can offer
yes.
nowadays.
But
Yeah.
you are doing something right in Scotland. So you have the Small Press Scotland now,
Yeah.
and you organise. I think it's Tags Fest, to which I'm going to in
Yes.
October, and I think there was another one in August. I forgot what it's called, but I think it's organised by a similar crowd of people. So they specifically focus on small press independent
Yeah.
publishers, which is lovely because I remember last year there was this person called Brian who was at the table next to me, and that's when we
Yes.
started. That's when I was kind of complaining that, well, we don't really have that many cons that focus on small press and so on.
Mhm.
They're mostly like sort of merchandise cons. You pay to get in, and you pay, and then you spend more money, and that's it.
Yeah.
And he was saying that basically, we have this tags fest, so why don't you
Yeah.
come? So yes,
Oh, I'm so glad. That's Brian Tyrrell, wasn't he? He's a
yes,
games
Yeah.
creator. I'm so glad that you
yes,
made that connection. Yeah.
yeah,
I'd love to go to Tags Fest. We just couldn't make it. But one year, maybe next year. Oh, that's brilliant.
absolutely. Yes, so I'm going this October, just
Lovely.
just just for the day. But I'm taking my daughter with me, who's obviously getting into this kind of thing. So she's going to be my junior assistant for the day.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah.
Start them young. Start them young.
Yes, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I was going to say, like, your work's like often drawing on like mythology and folklore. Like, what inspires you to draw on those ideas?
I think folklore, I mean, I could go on and on about it, but there's just so much, um, so much variety, so much wealth of human experiences and folklore, and the magical element as well, and the kind of the symbolic element is absolutely amazing. And this is something I've been inspired by since, I don't know, since I was in my early teens, possibly. So I remember reading a lot of Celtic mythology, and that's what I'm kind of inspired by quite a lot. So the mythology of folklore of Scotland and Wales, and when I was working on Between Storms, I actually uh, took like an online course at UHI, University of
Yeah.
Highland Islands, on Scottish folklore to get more in kind of to inform myself better.
Yeah. I think I know the course you're talking about. Was it the Supernatural
Yes,
Gaelic? It's brilliant, isn't it? I loved
it's
it.
lovely. Yes, yes, Katrina is a really nice teacher.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes,
It's terrific. Yeah.
yes.
Going to
Brilliant.
ask if
Yeah.
it was Founch that was teaching it. That would be quite a full circle. Said if you really want to get into folklore, give him a ring. Founch, he'll help you out. No end. I think he's helping some people write their own Dungeons and Dragons games based on local folklore now.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And there's so much in the local library. I'm going to give a push for the local library, sort of really old collections of folklore that I've never seen anywhere else, I have to say. Because I was brought up on, I don't know, any of you remember the yellow fairy book, the green fairy book, the red fairy book? No, I'm not getting, anyway, I went through every color that they existed. There were collections of folklore from around the world and each had a different color. And it was just, ah, happy days.
So, like I said, we'll go back to between. We'll use Between Storms as a example, like for your creative process. So, like, do you start with a full script or character sheets, or do you just write and see what happens? Like, how do you go about it?
I think at the start I had the rough outline of the story, so I knew quite clearly what was going to happen in the story, and the characters as well. It's just, I think because the idea with So the idea for the story was with me for quite a long time, and the character designs as well. So I came up with the main characters first. They kind of changed quite a lot over the time. And with the script, because it was so the book was divided into sort of 5 chapters, I preferred to sort of work on one chapter at a time. So script at first, and I tend to do script and thumbnails at the same time, so I could visualize the page as well as sort of write down what the characters would be saying and the sound effects and so on. And I think that works best for me. And then I think I just go from there, really.
Cool. Kathleen, do you?
Yeah, sorry, I'm being distracted because I'm actually looking at Between Storms in front of me now, and
All
right.
right.
So sorry. Let me pause while I read it again.
Yeah,
But,
do. It's quite a big book. So shall we see you in about half an hour?
Yeah, no,
Yes.
that's great. Yeah.
How many more cups of tea can I spill all over
Yeah,
the place?
exactly. Am I right or wrong in thinking that you had that idea in your head before you'd first visited here?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
But I think that was kind of one of my main motivation, really. One of the kind of the reasons why I really wanted to visit Ocon. And you may remember that during the pandemic, Kathleen, I started sort of pestering you, saying, "This is
Yeah.
my dream con. Please invite me."
Yes. Oh no.
Yes,
We
but
remembered we were going to make it happen.
yes, yeah. So I think it's it definitely helped me, because I remember that, obviously you can do a lot of research from sources and so on, and I love the research process. It
Yeah.
usually takes a long time. You can really fall into this research rabbit hole. Sometimes it's more fun than actually creating the comic, but nothing beats actually being in the place.
Mm.
And it was very special. It was a real privilege
Yeah.
to be there.
Yeah. Sorry, I just keep remembering seeing you running up to one of the Kaladesh stones and giving it a big hug.
Yes.
That was research going on there.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
like something I would do. Yes.
Yeah. You've got to feel the stone, Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Purely for research purposes, but also because I go to a druid group locally where
All
I
right.
live, and it's been a bit of a flex with the other druids saying,
All
"Oh,
right.
I went to Kaladesh Standing Stones," and they were, "Oh,
Ooh, oh, brilliant.
Ooh.
Status.
yeah."
Oh, fab. I know what you mean about the research being a rabbit hole, because it's so fascinating, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And there isn't a point where you've done enough, is there? Is it just a point at which you say, I have to stop now and write?
Yes, I mean, normally I kind of feel this.
I think we may have lost Eira for a
Sorry,
bit,
can
so
you
we'll
still hear me? I'm
carry
getting a
on.
message that I have unstable
Because
internet
I
connection.
kind of know that I used to. The research is so fascinating, but I think you've got to be tough to do that.
I haven't got stable internet connection.
But yes, I wanted to ask, my next question when we get Eira back again is to say, I think it's going to be available in Galax soon, so that will be
that's
really exciting.
Yeah.
So we'll.
Who's? Oh,
Sorry, I'm back.
Oh, no, we'll try again.
Yep, we've lost it again there. So. But yeah, the Gaelic translation would be interesting, and of course, with our own founder, I'm sure he'll be keeping his beady eyes on that one as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
so I won't say any more. We're waiting for Eira to be able to tell us more about that. But I think it will be wonderful. I think, yeah. So it's just brilliant.
Oh well, see, all my questions are for Eira. I don't really have much for you. Anyway, maybe I can ask you. 11th of October, it's happening, isn't it?
It is, and it's so close, and we just want people to buy their tickets as soon as possible. We're just doing the final tweaks to the program to make sure it's up to date and has everything, and then hopefully we will publish that in a couple of weeks. But information will be available on the website. We've got lots of talks, lots of workshops for all ages. We've got miniature figure painting, we've got monster making, with Jim Parkin. We've got writing games with Thomas Welsh, who's the
Yeah.
creator of Cloudpunk. We have the fantasy and sci-fi writer Jasper Ford.
Yep.
Oh, we've got so much, and yeah, we just want people to buy their tickets as soon as possible so they don't lose out.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi there. All
Sorry,
right.
not sure what happened.
Oh, you didn't spill your tea as well. It's
No,
not a
no,
night we're all going to
no.
be spilling it all. Okay.
Well, it could be, Cal, while you were sort of cleaning up on your tea, I took my tea and it went down the wrong way, so I started spluttering. So we're having tea-related mishaps.
So yeah, it's tea-related injuries.
Yeah.
tonight.
No worries. Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to mention that you might be getting or will be getting Between Storms translated into Gaelic. So the Gaelic version will be available
Yes, yes,
soon. It's just so exciting.
yes.
Yeah.
So this is what's happening now, actually. So the translation has actually been done already. So last year when I was in Stornoway, so and the year before, so I made good friends with people who run Antai Ceilidh, that is the Gaelic cafe
All right. Yeah.
in Stornoway.
Yeah,
And
it's fabulous.
it's amazing. I love those people so much.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's a fantastic
Yes,
place.
and Maggie Smith, one of the co-directors, so when she saw Between Storms, she said, "Why don't we try to create a Gaelic version?" And she very kindly supported my application to Gaelic Book Council for funding. So
Fantastic.
yeah, so far we received the funding for the translation itself, and then at
Right.
the
Lovely.
moment I'm in the process of applying for the rest of the funding for the rest of
Mhm.
the costs.
To get the actual
Yeah,
publication
yeah. So
costs.
for the
Cool.
editing, proofreading,
Mm.
digitizing, and so on. So that's
Yeah.
literally happening this week. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed. We'll get somewhere. And yes, definitely, when it does happen, I'll let you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So
definitely. We can't wait to see it. And yeah, we will have to have
yeah.
a launch or a celebration or something
Absolutely,
locally.
and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do
yeah.
feel again it's a great privilege because I didn't want to sort of abuse my position as an outsider, and the fact that people kind of got behind my book and really supported it. It really means a lot.
Yeah.
That's good. I was kind of quite curious there. Like, see the dialogue for Between Storms. Did you write that maybe with one kind of maybe eye on this could possibly go into Gaelic and maybe have the dialogue reflect that a little bit?
Um,
Or did you just kind of write it in your own voice anyway?
I kind of write it as in my own voice. Unfortunately, I don't have the garlic, not even a little. I can only probably just say good afternoon and ask for hot chocolate
Yeah.
and garlic, and that's all. And that's all thanks to Antai Ceilidh. And maybe
The important things first.
and,
Yeah.
and
Hot chocolate.
maybe watching shows on BBC Alaba as well. But beyond that, I can't really. Obviously, I had no input in
Yeah.
translating the dialogue.
Nice. Yeah, it's just it's so you say like my girlfriend's Polish and she struggles with Gaelic, she can't do it, and you think bloody she speaks one of the most complex languages in Europe,
Yes,
and you think she thinks that this is crazy, this language. So,
absolutely. I should really relate to that. So my first language is Russian, and I'm learning Welsh. So
Oh,
all right.
wow. Yeah. Do you know? Well, yeah, I was just thinking of sort of the Welsh legends and that. Have you any sort of inspiration from Welsh mythology and folklore for future books?
absolutely. So one of the previous books I did is actually based on Welsh folklore and specifically the witch hair
The
transformations.
witch hair, of
Yeah,
course.
but
Yeah.
I'm actually planning a kind of a sequel of sorts because when I was researching it, that was actually part of my master's degree, and I realized the body of that folklore is so vast that I can't just fit it into one book, and there's so many stories I could tell really based on that. So I would love to do more of that as well.
Do you think you'll always do comics and manga or kind of prose fiction to tell the stories that are in your head?
That's a good question. I hope I always do comics and manga because that's just my natural way of um telling stories. When I plan something, I always plan visually, it's easier for me. And
Yeah.
I see pages, I see images, and it's just my natural way of telling stories. One thing I would love to try is I'm not sure if it's ever going to happen, but I would love to do audio drama. Because that sounds
Yeah.
really great. I would love to kind of move into that as well.
That sounds
Well,
fascinating. Yeah.
I'll raise my hand and say that's something I've always wanted to.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, doing a podcast, it's an
Yeah.
area I would love to get into. And I've always had in my mind, could I do something, a Hebridean audio drama?
Mm.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Give me a call if we want to make this happen.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we can discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
OCon 2026, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah, no pressure now. No pressure. Yeah, not saying anything. Yeah, it's definitely going to happen.
Gotta have a deadline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's pencil it in. I'll put it in my calendar right now.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. We like early planning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But are you working? I mean, you've got the sort of work involved with getting the Gallic sort of print copy ready for Between Storms. But are you working on something else at the same time?
So recently I've been working a lot with Magic Torch Comics. You probably know them. Yeah.
Oh, they're fabulous.
Yeah.
They're
So
fabulous.
I know
Yeah.
that Paul
Yeah.
came to Ocon a couple of years ago, was it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've been working a lot on his comics, and I think it's brilliant what he does because he involves so many different groups and just lets them tell their experiences really and turn them into comics,
Yeah.
and then giving comics to stakeholders and members of the public. It's brilliant.
He's fantastic. He came up at the first OCon and they traveled around. I think he visited 12 schools
Wow.
and they created this comic called The Heroes of the Hebrides, The
Yeah,
Heroes of the Outer
I read
Hebrides.
it. Yes, it's really good.
Yeah. And to have something so sort of local and that the schools help create the pupils, it's just brilliant. He's coming to Ocon this year, but he's going to North Uist. He's going to be doing sessions at in Thai Kosovo. So we're just thrilled.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic.
he's magic. Yeah,
Lovely.
yeah. Brilliant.
I was just going to say, like, there is obviously still in the larger public a stigma attached to comics and manga in general. Like, have you ever had to deal with people saying that to you, and like, how do you respond to them? Because there is still it's kid stuff that basically I get that sometimes myself.
Still, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of comments, not particularly about comics being kid stuff, but comics being kind of the easy versions of books. When
Yeah.
in fact, reading comics is a skill. It's a different skill. I've
Yeah.
seen some good
Yeah.
examples of that as well. When in schools, comics were used as class books, and the teacher would read a comic book or graphic novel all together, and the young people would get really invested. They would really, sort of, think about the aspects of the story. But I normally just try to educate people as much as I can about comics. I actually have a T-shirt. I'm not wearing it today, but it says "Comics are a medium, not a genre," because
I like that.
yes, I do wear it
Yeah.
to conventions and so on. Because a lot of people think that comics is just one thing, it's just one
Yeah.
type of stories, and it's such a shame because,
Yeah.
as I said before, there's such variety. And I also had a bit of kind of stigma from artists who work in other media. So, for example, fine artists,
Yeah.
painters, sculptors, they obviously see comics as something, or it's not even proper art or anything, which is such a shame. So I was once introduced by a sculptor she draws comic strips. I don't draw comic strips. I draw manga, I draw
Yeah.
graphic novels. I don't do comic
Yeah.
strips. But for some people it's all the same, sadly.
It amazes me that people are so slow because it's taken schools ages to catch up and become aware of how important they are, especially with readers of different abilities, and also young people who are more visually aware than
Yes.
sort of writing. It's just a different part of the brain. And,
Yeah.
I sort of grew up with appreciating picture books and people thinking picture books are something only for small children and just not
Hmm.
realizing, the genius of the illustration and the artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, there's still a long way to go.
But
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
one thing I noticed in particular, and actually that is in a recent report by CSIC, which is Comics
Yeah.
Cultural Impact Collective.
Mm,
So whilst there's a dip of reading enjoyment generally among people who read comics, there's actually an increased interest, and that's with children and adults. And what I also
that's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and what I saw as well, so I often see children just walking from school reading a graphic novel, and it's brilliant to see, because sometimes when children go to high school and reading becomes really uncool, and that
Mhm.
that uncoolness does not spread onto comics. Comics are still,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know they still,
They're still
yeah,
cool. It's brilliant.
yeah,
Yeah. Maybe they are cool because schools and some libraries, not all,
yeah,
slightly look down on them. So they should continue just for this psychological,
yeah, possibly,
benefit.
possibly, yes, yeah,
No,
yeah,
can't have that.
yeah,
yeah. Because there was
Yeah.
a YouTube video I saw recently. It was a teacher who was like it was like telling it was an information about how they were trying to get their students to get excited about Shakespeare. And she said the
Yeah.
one thing I did it was she got a graphic novel of Hamlet distributed, and that was it.
yes,
Just that set it all. I mean,
Wow.
I'm not a Shakespeare person myself, but I could
Yeah.
see how
mm,
that would work.
yes,
Yeah. Because the storytelling behind it just comes
Yeah,
across.
yeah,
Sorry. Yeah.
yes. I think all those years ago, Manga Shakespeare was like one of the first um, things that became mainstream. I think it's actually approved by Shakespeare Society, and it's now almost like a
Brilliant.
a staple in most schools. And it's because the storytelling is so alternative. Romeo and Juliet, for example, it's set in Japan, and Juliet rides a bike. She's like this really cool lady.
Yeah.
She's not a victim. So yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah. And that's what, your t-shirt, it's a medium,
Yes,
not a genre,
absolutely. Yes,
You can take anything. Yeah. And I think it's people before just tried to diminish it into, and even comic strips, they take skill, they take talent. You can tell more in those
yeah,
3 pictures or 4 images a page than, a lot of people could take in a, yeah. Yeah.
yeah. It's like even like the single panels you see for Private Eye, like they get across so much and they're so
Yeah.
sharp, and but
Yeah.
no one says that's a silly picture. They can see that there's some thought going into that.
yes. One of the things I'm particularly interested in actually is poetry comics, because I'm really into poetry.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so there's one of my favorite artists is called Julian Peters. He's a Canadian artist, and he created a book called Poems to See By, and it's different poems retold in comics, and they're all in different styles. So there's like a manga style retelling. There's one that looks like a sort of abstract painting. There's one with
Oh,
just
wow.
like pastel artwork. So there's a variety. It's all created by one person, but I think it's a really good example of how you know diverse comics really can be. So
That is beautiful.
yes,
Yeah.
so I would really recommend this book. So it goes from this kind of watercolorish kind of art to there's one that looks almost like a quilt, almost like something out of fabric. Um,
Not
Yeah,
not
all right.
great for a podcast, but we are looking at the most brilliant
Yeah,
illustrations and different styles. And as you
yeah.
said, that's going to bring poetry
Well,
alive, for so
yeah,
many.
yeah,
because there was a similar project to that involving Star Wars. I don't know if you heard of
no,
this. And what they did was they auctioned off 14 seconds of the first film. I said, you can make that 14 seconds any style you want,
Oh,
and it went up
wow.
online.
Wow.
And it was just the creativity was unreal what they came up with.
fantastic.
Some people just used paper cups with faces kind of crudely animated. It was just incredible. That's what it reminded me of
All
there.
right, fantastic.
That's a brilliant idea. We must think of that, something like that for our competitions next
Mm.
year. Maybe just take something
Well,
kind of,
I've created
yeah.
quite a lot of poetry comics, so if you ever wanted a poetry comics workshop, we could include
Oh,
maybe local poetry. I can definitely ask Antai Kaling. Yeah.
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 I'm making a note of that.
Yes.
But you'll be
See,
working so hard when you come, you won't
yes.
get a breather.
Base, basically, that's the next 3 Ocons sorted now.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So the
Pretty
space of this
pretty
pod.
much. Yeah.
And I've got a new job as well with producing an audio. Yeah.
Yes, but actually,
Excellent.
at the start of so we're talking a while ago. At the start of my master's degree, I did a project with school children interpreting poetry through comics, and some of the young people were sort of they had additional needs and they weren't really that great with reading or writing, but it's just they could create the story using stick people, and
Yeah.
it was
Mm.
brilliant just to see how they interpreted it, and the imagery that went into it, which was really it was amazing. So yes, definitely, yeah, poetry comics
Uh,
are great.
uh, yeah. And that's kind of does also lead into animation because, someone really artistic has the ability to express themselves. But if you're not, you can still put together images to, tell your story in a different way. So it sort of opens it up. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
sorry, I was going
oh,
to ask
sorry.
about
You,
this
you, you go on.
wonderful, yeah, sorry, this wonderful publisher you work with. Uh, what other kind of books do they publish? Is it mostly manga?
Yes, so Sweatshop Studios are they kind of were created, by manga enthusiasts who
Yeah,
wanted to create manga and sort of publish it and get it out there. So it's very manga inspired, but they also have a little imprint called Sweatshop Stories, which is a kind of more prose, light novels or just short stories, illustrated stories. But as I said, they're not really as big as they used to be. We used to have a lot
no,
more
mm,
members, but they're still going strong, which is great. Um, yeah,
yeah, no, that's good. That's inspirational, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely
that
yes.
yeah,
Yeah, I just got to ask, like, how do you actually draw? Have you gone fully digital, or are you still ink and paper,
Uh,
or are you hybrid?
yeah,
yeah,
it's a bit of a mixture. So I tend to sketch on paper just because it's more accessible. I can sketch anywhere whenever I have a bit of time.
yeah,
And then I do the lines on my graphics tablet on Clip Studio, and I do the tones and speech bubbles and so on, and that makes it print ready. So that's kind of what's been working for me, really.
And like, say, like, we're just going to like for a page. Do you visualize like how the panel layout, or you write that down and then you kind of construct the images around it? I've always been curious about this with comics.
Yes, because the way I plan, as I mentioned before, I write the script alongside the thumbnail. So a thumbnail is a little, just a tiny little sketch of a page, and that's so I literally create the panel layout on this at the same time as I create the script. And I'm not really sure how the process works. It's just I kind of just visualize the page. It's just how my brain works. I've always seen in images, and also
yeah, stories.
because I'm so kind of invested in manga, and it's very black and white, medium. I always kind of look at something and I think, okay, how would I use it? What kind of tones would I use for that? It's almost like I
Mm,
automatically kind of my brain just transfers it into black and white.
mm. I find that fascinating because I think it's just some people visualize, the imagination operates differently.
Yeah.
And it's either very visual or it's sort of fact based on that. And that's clearly, I bet you can envisage the cover, the titles, the characters, how they look. All that sort of, is that in your head before you even start?
Mostly, yes.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, I always imagine that there's a kind of space somewhere in my brain where stories develop, and it's almost like if I have an idea for a story, I can literally leave it in that space. I can feel it in the back of my head, and it just kind of develops there. I can
Yeah.
do my normal things, my everyday things, and yet in the back of my head the story is constantly developing.
Pointing to the back of my
Yes,
head. I don't know why. It's like
yeah,
this magic slot that it's just
yes,
sort
it's
of
just there.
your subconscious is working on it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that's amazing. Yeah. And you know you're not going to forget it. It's just going to
No,
take shape in its own time.
yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
And like, and again, we're using between storms, but what's been the reception you feel up here from the wider community?
I think it's been great. I mean, I'm really happy with, how welcoming everyone is. And at the last OCon, obviously, people were interested and they bought my books. And some people came to my talk about Between Storms as well. So since then, I've also done a few other things that are also connected to the Hebrides. So I did a little talk. I was actually the author featured in the book club, St Kilda Book Club, back in May.
Lovely. I didn't know.
Yes, so that
Fantastic.
was back in May.
Oh,
So I think they choose
yeah.
about three or four books a year, and I was very
Hmm.
honored to be their book for May this year, which
Wonderful.
it was
Yeah.
lovely. I never thought I would, you know, get something like this. It was
Yeah.
really, really lovely.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And then I also got in touch with Islands Book Trust, and they now stock Between Storms as well.
Excellent.
So I'm not sure where they're based. I used to know, but yeah, I'm not sure if it's on Lewis or Harris, but they're
I
definitely
think it's Lewis. It's Ravens Point. It's I think. Mind you, they've got a new office recently, but
okay.
they're excellent. They've done such brilliant publications. That's fantastic. And I think yeah, it's in
Yes,
Cushwater. My brain's gone blank,
All
but
right.
yes,
it's no insult. I know exactly where it is. Yeah.
yeah. And
Well, that's
of
good.
course, the fact
Yeah.
that my books are now available from Anti Cayley as well, which is
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah. And sorry,
Brilliant.
just to go back, like taking a very Eastern style of art with a very Western legend. Was there any challenges to that, like compared to some of the other books,
Well,
like Hebridean legends with manga? Like, I know a lot of people here would just be,
yes,
how do you do
yes.
that?
I know it's very niche. I'm aware. There's lots of people told me actually that, oh, it's really niche, isn't it? But yes, it might be niche, but it's my niche.
Yeah.
It's something that I love.
Yes.
It's just
Yeah.
mixing manga and kind of Celtic mythology. I think it's a match made in heaven. Personally, it's
Yeah.
something. I think the style really, really fits the kind of the stories, and this is something that I was talking about when I was at Ocon last. I don't remember the exact quote from Tolkien, but he was saying that Celtic myth reminds him of stained glass. It's something that's fragmented, and I
Mm.
think that's how I feel about manga as well. It's something that is almost like it's in fragments, but the fragments make sense. And
Mm.
I think that that kind of aspect really unites the Celtic mythology and manga, um, and I think the general kind of black and white stylistics really 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 works. Um, so not many other titles exist that, as far as I know, that create kind of tell sort of Celtic mythology and folklore through manga. But there's this particular title called Crystal Dragon, which has been going on since the 80s. As far as I know, it's still unfinished, but it's
Mm.
it's a bit of a mixture of everything. So it's supposed to be based on kind of Irish mythology, but then the the author kind of deviates quite a lot, and she sometimes somehow starts kind of introducing characters like Boudica and the Vikings and all at the same
All
time,
right.
yeah, in the same time frame, and so on. Gets a bit confusing, but the whole kind of the visuals are amazing.
Yeah.
So the artist is called I think she's called Yuho Ashebe, and she's one of my favorite manga artists. And she actually did a lot of horror manga as well in the 80s in particular. And
Wow.
yeah, I collect her stuff just for the visuals.
Yeah.
So yes, it's something that is not done very often, but it's something that I definitely enjoy creating.
Mm. But I think you're proving that there are no barriers. You know,
No,
it's like any story can be expressed in a multitude of ways, and it's different for each iteration's different. Each reader brings their own, personal,
yeah, definitely.
viewpoint to it as well. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Why
Yes.
not?
Let's say outside of manga, is there any kind of other international kind of comics that you've drawn inspiration from, whether they help you, like world comics? I'm talking like not just English language.
That's a good question, actually. So when I was younger, I was really into the photo comics, which were quite popular in sort of
Yeah, I
girls
remember
magazines.
those.
Yes, I think surprisingly also, comics were quite popular in the 50s that were kind of a recipe slash advice comics. So I actually have a reprint of this comic called Mother Tells You How, which is it's very 50s. It's very kind of household, how to make furniture out of empty crates, and how to make, I don't know, a dessert out of nothing, those kind of things. Yeah, but it's a really interesting kind of, it's not something that you see very often in comics, but it just, again, as Kathleen said, it proves that really are no boundaries. You can create a recipe in comic format, anything really. Yeah.
So I have a friend and he spent a year out in Japan, and he just said that's the whole. But he said there is manga just about any subject you can think of. It's
Yes,
like even just a man goes and walks his dog in the park. There's a manga that exists describing that.
absolutely.
I said that's how it's viewed in Japan. It's just another way to tell a
Yeah.
story. So,
And that's what I always say to my students and people who come to my workshops. Manga is not just about thinking outside the box. There is no box. They don't even know
Yeah.
there is a box.
Can you imagine? I mean, I'd be interested in seeing how important having information topics, for schools, subject learning,
Mm,
if it was delivered in different ways, more visual as well as text-based, that could
yes.
really, support different learning styles and that and be so much more creative. Really
Absolutely.
interesting.
Yes, so one
Yeah.
example of that is back in the pandemic, I worked with a young person on the autistic spectrum, and they were really struggling with the new reality of the pandemic, where you had to keep the social distancing, wash hands, not share equipment, and so on. And I
Mm,
remember drawing little comics for them, saying you can still do
yeah.
that. So there's a picture of them, there's a picture of me, and we
Mm,
talk like 2 meters apart. So it was great, actually. So it was, really appreciated by the young person, and I think this kind of thing should be done more often, really. In particularly in kind of special education, there's a thing called social stories, which is like a little story where you would make the young person a character and explain what would happen in a particular situation. Yeah. So for
yeah.
example, sometimes when I go into I don't know, PE, I feel anxious because of this and that, and this is what I do. I'm just thinking those stories would work really well as visuals, as comics.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, surprised it
yeah.
hasn't been done before, to be honest.
Yeah, and just thinking it seems so obvious, sort of helping people, visualize different possibilities instead of just the one that sort of is so intimidating or frightening. It helps you sort of be flexible, as you say. It's just begging for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
We shall start our own publishing company as well.
we should absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, because on that, like one of my own favorite mangas. I don't know if you know of George Takei. He from Sulu that incredible. They called us the enemy. That he co-wrote is just a stunningly moving piece of storytelling and a very personal story for him.
Yes.
And it just shows you the breadth that there is in
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. And you do get that. You see it how sort of picture books have changed, from being something for toddlers, babies and toddlers, to no, there is no age limit for a picture book. You can get something. I'm thinking of, is it Sean Tan,
Yes.
the Australian, his picture
Yeah.
books are just incredible.
Arrival. Yeah.
And that's it. There are quite a few Australian ones that convey more in just, 20 lines and brilliant illustrations than, great big tomes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because I also got to say, and this is, but the praise for Netflix, right? Because they're adapting a lot of sort of niche comics at the
Yeah.
moment from the world. And I always have to give the Eternaut, like Gonzo will tell you about this, from
Yeah.
Argentina. And it's just, that's opened a world to me. South American comics, I
Yeah.
never knew such a world existed. And
Yeah.
now I'm tapping into that. And it's like,
Yeah. But then it also started in so places like, for example, in South Korea, they started creating K-dramas based on
Yeah.
webtoons. So it's becoming
Okay.
it's becoming more
Yeah.
common now. Yes.
Yeah. But again, publishing in the UK is very narrow. There are so many books
Yeah.
translated into English for the UK market, but so few the other way around. So we become very, very insular. And yeah, kudos to Netflix for actually going beyond and looking at talent and storytelling, from different parts of the world. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, because I say it just opens that wedge, and
Yeah.
people, I
Yeah.
think people are starting to realize there's a big world of literature, media that we're a lot of
Massive.
people won't
Yeah.
even entertain at
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, we've become very narrow, and then, it's sort of exploring different styles. And that's why I think Celtic mythology and manga, it helps your brain see differently and opens your brain to new ways of storytelling and inspires you. Whereas if you see the same thing, no matter how brilliant, it's just, I mean, sort of picture books from Europe are very different from picture books from the UK. They just see the world slightly differently, and it's surprising and wonderful. And the same with graphic novels, manga, and comics. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Us coming up on time there. So, do you have a last question there, Kathleen, to wrap us up?
Oh, I don't know. I think we've covered so much. It's just that I suppose it's just like at what point next year shall I get in touch to arrange your visit?
Absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
it's been absolutely amazing talking to you. I
Yeah.
could literally
Ah.
just talk for hours. Yeah, it's nice, good company. Something nice to talk about. Yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's lovely. I just love talking about books and writing, and I'm just in awe of your talent
Oh,
and your
thank you.
skill.
Thank you.
And no, it's just been a pleasure.
Oh, and I've lost both of them now. I know I've lost myself. Hopefully, I get back in. Ah, that was
We
me.
can
That was my
see
tech
you.
Yes.
We
gremlin.
can see you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. No, because I was going to say, Kathy, I think I've seen you doing that look that you had with Una McCormack, where your Amazon basket increased quite a bit over the show.
I have a long list. I keep a notepad and I write down every new author and
Yeah.
writer and illustrator that people
think-
mention, so I can go off and then, yeah.
that bookshelf there, you can see it's starting to sag already.
Yeah.
All
That's
the books
it.
you've been stacking.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, Eira, just where can people find you or reach out to you if they've listened to this and want to know more?
So I'm on Instagram. So my Instagram is Eira Richards Art. So you can contact me then. My website is Eira Richards, so you can see some of my work there. Or just I'm going to various events. I do put them on my website, so the events I go to. So if you're at the same event as I'm going to, please come and say hi.
Yeah, and we can verify you are more than approachable.
Yes.
We love having you up as well.
Nice. Yeah.
And yes, and people should try and head to tags, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when is that happening?
It's the 26th and
November,
27th of October. So
October.
yes,
Excellent.
so I think it's just the start of the school half-term holiday, so might be something fun to do, if people have a bit more time. So it's over 2 days,
Excellent.
Saturday and Sunday.
Lovely.
All right.
And it's in
All
Edinburgh.
right. Thank you much.
Yes.
All right. Cool. Any final thoughts then, Kathleen?
No, I'm just going to check up tags as well because I know you can volunteer. So I'm thinking maybe I need to get myself there. So yeah, it's just another thing to note on my pad, but just, yeah.
And just as a final word to anyone watching this, get your tickets for OCON immediately.
Yes.
Get
The
your
quiz.
tickets.
There's so much good things going on, and there'll be a live episode of OCAST on the day, our first ever. Don't know what's going to happen there. And funnily enough, it's about the love of comics.
Yes.
We're talking everything comics there. So
And OCON is the best. Yeah, do buy tickets.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Buy tickets for the quiz as well if you can. The quiz is epic. I remember last year's quiz. It was the highlight of my year.
Oh,
right.
Lovely.
Oh,
it
yes.
is, and this year's going to be even better. It's amazing. I'm not allowed to take part because I've had a little preview. So yeah.
Well, you can consider my ego well and truly stroked there. No, I think it's a good one this year as well. So, but no, you'll be able to watch it online. Is it going to be on? It's on the OCON YouTube channel.
We hope.
Which I don't have.
We
hope.
are still working out the kinks, but we're hoping that certain talks will be live streamed. So that will be very, very exciting for the first time. Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll announce details in a wee while.
Yeah,
so,
details will be fired up on the website, ocon.info, and OCAST is ocast.info. We've got our own separate homes now. So.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listening, and we will speak to you all again soon. Thank you very much, Eira, and thank you very much for everyone listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.